Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at IX Web Hosting. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com to get up to 40% off your first year of the best hosting on the planet. Today's episode of Dueling Dialogue is brought to you by Saucy Eva. GMA's marinade is coming soon to a plate near you to gourmetize your meats and proteins. Coming to you from that once-forgotten artery that pulses through the center of the continental United States and into the heart of the Ozarks, Grace Matthews. Looking in from the northern border, our Canadian friend, along with his countrymen feeling the effects of U.S. political issues, Connor Murphy.
Welcome to Dueling Dialogues, episode 48. I'm Connor Murphy here with Grace Matthews. Hi, Grace. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
How about you?
All right. Yeah, it's sun is out, so I can't complain.
Well, we can't complain. We've kind of had some technical difficulties today.
Yes.
So,
yes.
anyway, we're hoping this all goes well here.
Yes, keep the fingers crossed that everything will be going okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, we'll try this, see how it goes. If not, we'll redo it tomorrow.
That's right. We're flexible if we're anything.
Yeah, exactly. So what do we got on the docket for today?
Well, we've got basically a part 1 of 2, draining the swamp.
Ooh, okay.
You know, it's the mantra of our president. It was his mantra as he ran for president.
Right.
And kind of like Brexit. Trump and Brexit go hand in hand. They're a populist movement.
Right.
Okay, and whether you like Trump or not, you are being affected by the change that is that populist Trump Brexit, whatever you call it, other places. I mean, you got Merkel suffering, you got Theresa May suffering in the UK, you got things changing in France. You guys up there, you guys are going a little nutty too.
Yeah, there's no denying that what happens south of the border here affects us. So I mean, there's no way that we can deny it. I mean, Boeing, that deal did not go through because of the Bombardier tariffs that were put on Bombardier. Yeah, we canceled.
So it's now canceled. Okay.
Yeah. So what was that worth? $5 billion or something?
Yeah. $5 billion.
So
that's a lot of jack, as we call it around here.
Yeah, not sure what's happening to Boeing stock, but yeah, that's gotta hurt.
I have not looked at Boeing stock today. Yeah, I don't want anything to hurt because I got my prediction out there, in the stock market. So right. I don't want that going on.
Yeah, as long as you don't have Boeing stock.
I don't have Boeing stock, thank goodness. So. No, not really. Most of the time I wish I did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so draining the swamp.
Yes.
There is a movement. And if you talk to a lot of spiritual leaders, there is a fiber that connects us all.
Right.
There's lots of names for that fiber, but everything is eventually connected someplace. So whether you want to change or not, you might as well be the change. Because the change will happen to you.
Right.
So let's talk about the swamp. If the swamp runs through the Manhattan Media District, which they're all kind of right there together in little Manhattan, geographically speaking, they're a stone's throw apart.
Right.
If you count the number of people in the area, it seems like a big place. Anyway, and it runs down through the D.C. area. I would say that in that particular swamp, someone has parted the murk, and we are getting a glimpse of what lies beneath the surface. And the murk has basically been a big bunch of lies. Now, you got these people up in Manhattan at NBC 30 Rock saying, oh, we didn't know that Matt Lauer had, let's call it a wandering eye.
Some issues?
We didn't know that he had sexual issues. We didn't know he was basically a rapist.
Nope.
We didn't know that. And, while you're sitting around going, well, that's a lie, you really know it's a lie, but when something comes to surface that proves that beyond a shadow of a doubt it's a lie, you kind of just got to grab hold of it.
Right.
And today that's what we have. The way these people enabled Matt Lauer is just remarkable. And 2008, there was a secret roast for Matt Lauer. And basically, and you can bleep me, what they did was they, for about 3 hours, a bunch of grown-up, well-paid, well-educated people sat around and talked about penises.
Wow.
Which reminds me of a little trip I took with my kids a few years ago. 2 of them, not the oldest one. God love him. We were taking a little trip to Branson, and every time we go to Branson, I like to go to this place called Dick's Five and Dime.
Okay.
I mean, it's an iconic place. I mean, they have everything you can't find anywhere else.
Right.
And then they've got weirdo stuff like Elvis paraphernalia. It is a really weird place. Next time I go down there, I'll take pictures for you because it's great. Awesome. I like to go there to get the little brown bears that you put in your sugar so it doesn't get hard. You know,
and notoriously,
when my kids were little, well, they're terracotta. And you just put them down in all your sugars and it keeps the moisture from creating hard sugar.
Right.
So, you know, and notoriously when my kids were younger, they would break them. So we're driving down there and one of my kids was 8. That would make the other one about 14. And I said, we're going to Dick's. Now they're boys. I have all 3 of my kids are boys. And they are giggling and laughing because they're children. Okay.
Yeah. And you said Dick.
Way down there. Yeah, I said Dick. Okay. And we are going to Dick's, and they are just laughing and making jokes in the back seat. And this went on forever. And then they wanted to go to Dick Clark had a diner with a little theater that he owned down there. Oh, can we go to Dick's for lunch too? You know. And I remember coming back home and going, if I hear one more thing about anything else named Dick, I'm going to scream. You know. But they were giggling.
Right.
So when I think about people like Brian Williams, Diane Sawyer, let's see, Nancy O'Dell, Howard Stern, I would think he would do that.
Yeah.
You know, Katie Couric, Jeff Zucker, Martha Stewart. When I think about them being at a roast, and roasts are, you're supposed to be rude to people there.
Right. That's what the roast is about.
I don't think about them giggling and going on for 3 hours the way my adolescent children did.
Right.
My kids wouldn't do that now. So anyway, this took place at the Friars Club. And know that this version of our show is going to be, you know, rated R.
Lots of beeps.
Absolutely. So, for example, when Martha Stewart stood up to address Matt Lauer, she called him, and I quote, the of the rock. What sort of universe do these people that didn't know he had a problem live in?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
No, yeah.
So you got to wonder. And you got to wonder, you know, Katie was a star before Matt became a star.
Right.
On the Today Show.
Yeah.
You know, Matt was at first like the newsreader. You know, how was it that she took a second row seat to him? Is it because she was a woman? Or is it because the personality of this man demands?
The ego? The
ego. Right. You know, demands that people treat him in such a way. The way Matt was portrayed upon the show was the world's nicest guy. And I'm quoting that. No, the world's nicest dad and the world's nicest guy. Okay? So this event has been described as sexist, racist, homophobic, with obscene jokes that left little doubt that Lauer's colleagues knew that NBC's biggest star was troubled. And I think that's saying it kindly. I think I would say something a little more strong. So enabling him was something that they all took on. His co-hosts, from Katie Couric to Ann Curry, anyone that was on the air with him became an enabler. At the time of the roast, Jeff Zucker, who now runs CNN, was the chairman of NBC Universal. He was at this roast, and he himself, when asked last week, claimed he had no idea. Now, the jokes go on and on. Meredith Vieira made crude jokes. So did Al Roker. They talked about him partaking in anal sex during the Olympics.
Wow. Okay, I know dirty stuff, dirty jokes happen at a roast. Do you think they really knew? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Oh, I do. I just don't think it's an accident. I have to go to roasts all the time around here, and I know we're not Hollywood, okay? and people say dirty stuff. But things that you say about the person always applies to what they are. Okay, if somebody drinks too much, you make a few jokes about
them being an alcoholic,
Yeah, with funny things they've done while drinking. I don't know. And it went on to Ann Curry. They said awful things about her and him and at this roast. And we have a copy of this, but I also think that a sort of Stockholm syndrome took over at NBC surrounding the Today Show. You know, Matt Lauer was a beast in a designer suit, hiding behind a facade of the world's nicest dad. Now, in the real world, after someone was, I don't even think they would have to be convicted of some of these crimes he's been accused of.
Right.
And he made less money. Social services around here would be investigating him, trying to decide whether he was a sick individual that should not be left unsupervised with his kids.
Right.
That's the real world. You know, you've got to remember the button under the desk.
Well, I'm still waiting for one of these guys to get charged.
Well, I am too, but that's going to be hard, and I'm going to tell you why. One reason why is when you go to work for just about anybody anymore, but definitely one of these media giants, you sign a mediation agreement that anything that happens controversial will be handled through mediation. I think that's how Bill O'Reilly's situation has never gone public. You are sworn to secrecy.
Okay.
A lot of times there is an automatic gag order written in to your contract, your employment contract. But that mediation clause keeps a lot of these from going to a regular courtroom and possibly even to a criminal court.
Right, which actually does not solve anything.
Well, it doesn't solve anything. It just keeps it going on and on.
It's just
which is what's already happened. Now, some of these people have clearly decided to violate that agreement. What's going to happen to them? I don't know. I mean, I've been gagged on a civil issue before. And I know the judge said, I'll think nothing about it to put either one of you guys on either side in the slammer. You do not talk about this to anybody.
Wow.
Even among yourselves. So I took that seriously. Something changed. I think something's changed everywhere. People are coming forward despite these kinds of agreements. I do not like the fact that they are trying to blame this on toxic masculinity. I don't think that masculinity or, a normal male libido has anything to do with it.
No.
I don't even think it's about libido. I think it's about power.
Yeah, power, ego, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about a psychologically sick individual. It's like a sexaholic. Well, I don't know that, most drug abusers or alcoholics, they're really not drug abusers or alcoholics first. They're oftentimes bipolar, severely depressed. They have PTSD. I mean, tons of situations, or they had cancer, or they had something first. Yeah. You don't wake up one morning and go, gee, I want to be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Or, gee, I want to be a heroin addict.
Yes.
Nobody wakes up like that. So sometimes when you go to some of these treatment programs, kind of like the sexaholic thing, they treat, the sex addiction, they treat the alcoholism, they treat the drug addiction. They don't ever treat what got you there in the first place.
Right. They don't treat the cause. They treat the effect.
And so it's often not very effective.
Right.
So I am kind of glad to see, though. Remember, for a while, everybody that got in trouble cheating on their marriage, they just went to a sex clinic or sex addiction clinic, and then, they were out of trouble.
Yeah.
They went there for 2 or 3 or 6 weeks. It's like, I don't know, a spa.
Yeah.
They just don't have sex, but they have everything else imaginable available to them. Tennis courts, swimming pools, back rubs,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's hard for me to see that that's roughing it. Nevertheless, I digress. So anyway, in light of Matt Lauer's situation, you've got this toxic masculinity coming up again. And it just reeks of sort of a It's a little racist, if you ask me.
Racist?
It's kind of, yeah. I mean, because it seems to be referring a lot to, toxic white men. In an article put out by Fox News, it seems very much to be about older white men. And I think possibly they are the ones that in this situation have had a power and an ego problem, but I don't think it's an innate part of their makeup. I don't think we should make sweeping assumptions that that's how all men behave. Therefore, we need to start, if they ask you out for a drink, you need to complain and call their boss.
Yeah.
Because we're getting to that point where you're going to have a certain amount of the female population that are going to be unrealistically fearful of men. And this is what we tried to get away from with the free love sexual movement back in the 60s.
Right.
This is the end of that, see. People in their 60s and 70s, the women and men that started the movement, they're still around. This is sort of where it's going.
Well, yeah, nowadays, I think guys are going to be fearful of women.
I agree. And I remember being told when I was a little girl by my mother, be careful, men can't stop. It scared the hell out of me.
Right.
I thought it was like a gun going to go off.
Well, sort of is.
Right. But, I really was afraid. And my experience with men, I certainly had bad experiences. But my experience with men in general is, no, I like men. I'm not afraid of men, And if I am, I take precautions. I used to have a client, and he was responsible for about a third of my business. And he would call me, and he could, say things like, I want you at my beck and call. Well, heck, I sort of was, because, I was like his off-site HR person, and I had a lot of other clients, but I was kind of afraid of him, and I kind of knew he would do something, you kind of sense.
Right.
So one time he demanded I come to his office, and I was scared to death, okay? Because I knew everybody that worked for him was afraid of him too. So I went in his office, and first thing he does is shut the door. Well, I had one of my salespeople with me, and I had told him, he shuts that door, you get in there as fast as you can get. And that's what he did. He comes knocking out the door, says, excuse me, I think I need to listen in here. I mean, sometimes you got to think ahead of it.
Right. You were one step ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be prepared. So preparedness is not the same as fearfulness.
Right.
So anyway, I hate to see a war on boys or a war on men.
Yeah, it's a tough time to be a guy right now.
It absolutely is. But, you also have some sort of hypocrisy. Now, Joe Scarborough, Morning Joe, remember him and Mika? Mika was married, and him and Joe, they started Morning Joe and started having an affair. Then she left her husband, and now they're engaged.
Yeah.
So, according to Morning Joe, last week, he said he had to leave the roast because he had to leave early because he was feeling uncomfortable about all the sex talk. The whole theme was that he does the show, I'm quoting Scarborough,
right,
and then he has sex with people, with employees. Scarborough said, so this was whispered behind closed doors. Now you got to remember, Scarborough also works at NBC. No, it was shouted from the mountaintops and everybody laughed about it.
Wow.
Now, the interesting thing is that him and Mika went through a whole dialogue on the show and said that, having an affair with someone you work with is always a bad idea. So I don't get that either. I don't get how you can be so unaware of yourself and believe that your audience is so stupid.
Oh, wow. That is next level.
They just went on, and that's going to be on our site, about how it was just always a bad idea. I guess for everybody but them. If you go by what Andy Lack said, and they have this certain set of ethics, and, nobody's going to break the ethics, and nobody is supposed to, then you would have to say that Mika and Joe violated the ethics.
Right.
At NBC.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's over the top. And it doesn't seem to stop. It's like daily. There's somebody new added to the list of perverts out there.
Yeah. And like I said, what's craziest about the NBC thing is that the women were rather enjoying it. I mean, you really see that, what I'm going to call a Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
They learn to enjoy what their captor, Matt Lauer, the powerful guy in the studio, what interested him.
So it was not a big secret.
It was no secret at all. In fact, it was a group activity.
Wow. Who else was at that roast?
None other than Donald Trump.
Oh.
Now, you got to wonder. They're always wanting to take him down, but before he began, as a candidate for president of the United States, they wanted him everywhere. What all does he have on everybody? Because he was every place, including here. I mean, he was here. He had to know. In fact, I believe, who was it he sat next to? He sat right next to Katie Couric at the roast. Tom Cruise was at the roast. Of course, they said Al Roker was there. He seems pretty straight-laced.
Wow.
The things that were said about Ann Curry, I just won't even say on here. You'll just have to look that up.
The Clintons weren't there?
I do not see here that the Clintons were there, but I have a hard time believing that at least Bill wasn't there.
Oh, maybe they had an event that night with Weinstein.
That could be. That could be. It's just crazy.
Yeah, everybody's been enabling them since 2008. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, even before that, because one of these situations took place in 2001. One of them took place in 2014. They said they are expecting 8 people to come forward. Now, I remember back in the day when I did some work with children's services. Now, this is pedophiles. I know that's different, and this was some time ago. But for every situation you could verify, they believed there was 30 more that you couldn't.
Right.
And that by the time a perpetrator was caught, he had violated 300 children.
Oh, that is just ugly.
Yeah. So, if 8 comes forward, even in this environment where it seems like everybody's just opening up the floodgates and saying, I'm going to come clean, I'm going to tell what happened to me too.
Right.
I still think there are a certain amount of people that won't. There are a certain amount of people that are going to be skeptical. Will I ever work again? And I wonder about that. I wonder what is going to be the fallout. Are we wiping the slate clean or are you going to be afraid to hire a woman that has accused someone because she may or may not be, a habitual accuser?
Right.
Her story may be true or may not. I know that, around here for jobs and such, they will even run the civil court records so that if you've sued somebody for something, you won't get hired. Doesn't matter whether it was legit. Doesn't matter whether you won.
Wow.
They do not want someone that is court savvy or that may or may not be inclined to sue somebody.
Right.
So, everybody can be happy and think that this is great and it's transparent, and certainly these guys should go down. But sometimes I really think in your own best interest, sometimes you just got to walk and go find another job.
Yeah.
If you're in this situation. Not that you should stick around unless someone abuses you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm still not sure how this is going to play out for people that accuse a perpetrator, whether it's false or not.
Right.
You just don't know. And as for men, I think we're going to see almost a hiring freeze on men because liability insurance is going to be higher for men. That's already been predicted. In fact, one of the best stocks to buy for 2018 is supposedly liability insurance. Or,
wow.
Companies that would write these kinds of policies.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
It's sad.
Well, at least people have the guts to come forward. The Me Too movement, that is the new Time Person of the Year, I believe.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm glad you mentioned that because I about forgot. That is. There's several women that are going to be on the front, and that Me Too movement is the Time Persons of the Year.
Right.
And I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Certainly better than Kim Jong-un.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't agree with sensationalizing anybody that has any negative effect on the rest of the world. So, yeah,
I don't either. And, who knows by the time the Koch brothers take over in Meredith next year, what Time Person of the Year will be next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be much different. On another note, similar, Al Franken is going to speak tomorrow as, when I wrote this down, 10 women had turned against him as the 7th accuser has come forward. That 10 women has now turned to about 50 people, men and women. So I do believe he is going to step down tomorrow. The 7th accuser said she dodged him. It was at a recording studio that he leaned forward, tried to kiss her. She dodged him, and he said, as an entertainer, he had the right to do that.
Wow.
That was a bad thing to say. Because, that has really irked people.
Wow.
Also, again, on the same note, we had discussed a few weeks ago, Corey Feldman was going to come forward with what he recalls as a ring of pedophiles in Hollywood.
Right.
Corey Feldman was a child actor and entertainer. He said that he had been abused by, I don't know whether it's one pedophile or more than one. And oddly enough, a reporter has came up with a tape of Corey Feldman when he was young making an accusation. So that will be surfacing in the next few hours, I presume.
Wow. Yeah, I remember seeing a video interview of Corey Feldman, interview being done by Matt Lauer, and Matt Lauer was giving him the gears about, why haven't you gone to the police? Well, he did go to the police and nothing happened.
Exactly. So I think that this will be interesting. And in fact, I met a guy this morning that does some promotional work in Hollywood and knows Corey Feldman.
Wow.
I'm hoping maybe eventually we can get him on the show.
Oh, that would be cool.
He does it. He's in, kind of a social group. He was getting ready to leave for LA this morning. So, and he said that Corey Feldman's a stand-up guy. If he said it happened, it happened. And
well, Corey Feldman's had a very troubled life, a lot of drug abuse and stuff like that. And it really starts to make sense now that you know what he endured as a kid.
Exactly. And that's like we were talking about before. You don't wake up one morning and go, I want to use drugs.
Right.
Something has happened that has you wanting or needing to self-medicate.
Well, at least the sex swamp is being drained.
Yes, it is. It is. And I'd like to mention that President Trump just announced that the United States Embassy in Israel will move from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This is a campaign promise of his. It has been a campaign promise of George W. Bush and Barack Obama.
Right. And they've been signing it off every 6 months and delaying it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it, mostly out of Europe. Mostly out of Europe and the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, over this, I think it's a 10-year process, the embassy will be moved to Jerusalem. It makes me so very happy because Jerusalem is the true capital of the Jewish people. Whatever you think, you go, well, that will keep the Palestinians. Okay, let's put an embassy on the Palestinian side. I don't care. If anybody really truly believes that after 5,500 years, we're suddenly going to have peace there.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. Okay. I kind of believe that God gave up on it. Remember Babel? Because I'm so sick of you people, I'm going to make different languages because you're not listening to each other the way it is.
Right.
Then it'll take you years to figure out what each other is saying. I kind of think if God gives up on it, are we really going to do it? I mean, we need to try, but I don't think making the Jerusalem for the USA to recognize it is not going to impact peace in the Middle East.
You're correct there. Nothing's going to change the fact that, war is going to continue to happen in the Middle East.
Exactly.
However, I think a better decision would have been to open a second embassy in Jerusalem.
Well, see, I kind of agree with you, but I don't think a second one, I wouldn't keep the one in Tel Aviv. I would put another one on the Palestinian side.
You just secretly close the second one down when no one's looking.
We ran out of funds.
Yeah. We'll be back Tuesday, but just say Tuesday.
Yeah, what Tuesday?
What Tuesday? Yeah.
Or you could do what my dad said. We'll do that the second Tuesday of next week.
Yeah.
Dad? He goes, I damn well know what I said. So, but I think it was wonderful. It was about 8:30 in the evening in Jerusalem, and they projected the American flag and the Israeli flag onto the wall. And I thought that was pretty awesome myself. I'm kind of think it is, it's a good thing to me. Good. It's a very good thing.
Well, I would have to agree with you then.
Okay. Good deal, because we don't always agree, but life's a journey and we're all in this together. And remember, do not become a victim. # nobody's victim. Thanks for listening. Godspeed, Connor, and Godspeed to all of our friends out there.
Godspeed, Grace, and thanks for listening.
Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at IX Web Hosting. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com to get up to 40% off your first year of the best hosting on the planet. Today's episode of Dueling Dialogue is brought to you by Saucy Eva. GMA's marinade is coming soon to a plate near you to gourmetize your meats and proteins.